My dad demanded I sign over my house too. My brother because his girlfriend got pregnant and he would be a father soon. I said I would think about it, then went home, changed the locks and cut all contacts. I'm not going to pretend I grew up in some horrible family situation. My parents weren't abusive or anything like that. They fed me, clothed me, and made sure I went to school. All the basics were covered. But here's the thing about basics. They're just that. Basic. And when you're the second kid in a family where the first kid can do no wrong, basics are about all you're going to get. My brother Andrew is 3 years older than me. Golden child doesn't even begin to cover it. This guy could mess up a bowl of cereal and my parents would find a way to blame the spoon. Meanwhile, I could ace a test and get a "that's nice, honey" while they planned Andrew's next big life event. It was always like that. Always has been. Want some examples? Sure. When I was 12 and Andrew was 15, we both wanted bikes. I saved up birthday money and did extra chores for 3 months. Bought myself a used bike from a neighbor for $40. Andrew mentioned wanting one, and Dad took him to the bike shop the next weekend. Came home with a $500 mountain bike. When I asked why Andrew got a new one, Dad said Andrew needed reliable transportation. I was riding a bike with mismatched tires. High school, I made honor roll every semester. Andrew barely passed most of his classes, but he was popular, so that was what mattered. When he got a C in English, they hired him a tutor. When I got a B in chemistry, my only B mom told me I needed to study harder. I'm not bitter about it or anything. Okay, maybe I was when I was younger, but by the time I hit my 20s, I pretty much accepted that this was just how things were. Some families have favorites. Mine did. Andrew got the attention, the praise, the financial help whenever he needed it. I got really good at figuring things out on my own. And honestly, that ended up being the better deal because while Andrew learned that someone would always bail him out, I learned how to actually solve problems. After high school, I went to community college, paid for it myself, working nights at a shipping warehouse. Not glamorous, but it covered tuition and kept me fed. The warehouse job was brutal. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. loading and unloading trucks. But it paid $12 an hour, which was enough to cover community college tuition and rent. Andrew went to a 4-year university 2 states over. Full ride from mom and dad. New car, spending money, the whole package. When I asked if they could help with my books one semester, just the books, not even tuition, Dad told me it would build character to work for what I wanted. Character, right? I finished my associate's degree and got a job as an insurance adjuster. Started at the bottom, worked my way up, lived in a cramped apartment with 2 roommates who never cleaned the bathroom, drove a car that had more issues than a celebrity magazine, but I was saving. Every month, I put away whatever I could. Some months, it was $50. Some months, it was $300. My goal was clear. I wanted to own a house before I turned 30. Everyone told me it was impossible. Even the financial advisor at my bank looked skeptical when I asked about first-time home buyer programs, but I did it anyway. Cut every corner I could, packed lunches instead of buying them, stayed in on weekends. While everyone else went out, watched my checking account grow slowly, painfully, slowly, but it grew. Andrew, meanwhile, bounced around from job to job. He'd worked somewhere for 6 months, decided wasn't his passion, quit, and moved back home while he figured out his next move. This happened 4 times in 5 years. Each time, mom and dad welcomed him back with open arms, didn't charge him rent, let him eat their food while he found himself. By 25, I had almost $40,000 saved. Started seriously looking at houses. Everything was either way out of my price range or in neighborhoods where you heard sirens constantly. Then I found it. 3-bedroom ranch, 40 minutes outside the city. Needed work, but structurally sound. I offered asking price $5,000. They countered minus $2,000. I accepted, put down 20%, and suddenly I was a homeowner. I was 27 years old and I owned a house. Nobody helped me. Nobody gave me $1. I'd earned every single piece of it. Mom and dad came to see it once. They walked through, made some comments about how much work it needed, and left after 20 minutes. Dad mentioned something about how it was pretty far from them. That was it. No. Congratulations. No, we're proud of you. Just observations about what was wrong with it, but whatever. I didn't buy it for them. I bought it for me, and I love that house. Every creaky floorboard, every weird angle in the kitchen, every draft that came through the windows. In winter, it was mine. I'd earned it. Nobody gave it to me. Nobody helped me get it. And nobody could take it away. Or so I thought. Fast forward 3 years. I'm 30. The house is in great shape now, and I've built up some solid equity. The neighborhood's gotten nicer. A couple of families moved in. Property values went up. The whole area is developing. My little fixer-upper that I bought for a steal is now worth about 60% more than I paid for it. Not that I was planning to sell. I liked it there. I'd put down roots. Andrew, during these same 3 years, had been living with his girlfriend in a rental across town. Nice place, way nicer than what I started with, but rent kept going up, and he kept complaining about throwing money away. He was working sales at a car dealership, doing okay, I guess, but nothing spectacular. His girlfriend worked at a salon. Between them, they made decent money, but they also spent decent money. Nice clothes, new phones. Every year, weekend trips, eating out. Constantly, zero financial discipline. Then his girlfriend got pregnant. Suddenly, Andrew decided he needed to be a homeowner, not wanted to be needed to be, because apparently you can't raise a kid in an apartment. News to the millions of people who do it, but okay. He started house hunting quickly, realized that everything in his price range was either in a terrible area or needed massive work. Everything moving ready was way over what he could afford, especially with a baby coming. His girlfriend had strong opinions about what kind of house she wanted to bring their baby home to. It became this whole thing. I heard about all this through Mom, who called me every week with updates on Andrew's house hunt, like I was supposed to be as invested as she was. She'd go on about how stressful it was for him, how hard it was to find the right place, how expensive everything had gotten. I'd make sympathetic noises and go back to my life. Then one Sunday, I got a call from Dad. He wanted to know if I could come over for dinner that night. Family meeting, he called it. Said it was important. I should have known right then. My family doesn't do family meetings unless someone wants something. But I went anyway, mostly because I was curious about what fresh nonsense was brewing. I showed up at 6 o'clock. Mom had made pot roast. The good dishes were out, the one she only uses for holidays or when she's trying to impress someone. Andrew was already there with his girlfriend, whose name was Bethany. She was about 6 months along, really showing, wearing one of those flowy pregnancy dresses. Everyone was weirdly cheerful, too cheerful, the kind of cheerful that makes your warning bells go off. Mom hugged me when I walked in, which was unusual. Dad shook my hand firmly, which was also unusual. Andrew gave me this weird half smile that looked almost apologetic. Something was definitely up. We sat down, ate dinner, made small talk. The pot roast was actually good. Mom knows how to cook when she puts in the effort. Andrew told me about the baby, how they were decorating the nursery, the name they'd picked out, some normal name. Couldn't remember it 5 seconds after he said it. I nodded along, acted interested. Bethany showed me ultrasound pictures on her phone. Those black and white images that all look like abstract art to me. I said the appropriate things. Wow, that's great. Yeah, I can totally see the face. Oh yeah, that's definitely a foot. The whole time I could feel the tension building. Nobody was addressing whatever this meeting was actually about. We were all just dancing around it, eating pot roast and pretending this was a normal family dinner. Then Mom brought out dessert. Apple pie, my favorite, which she literally never made. And that's when I knew something was up. Mom doesn't make my favorite anything unless she wants something. Last time she made apple pie was when she wanted me to help Andrew move. Time before that was when she wanted me to lend Dad my truck for 2 weeks. The pie was a warning sign. Dad cleared his throat, put down his fork carefully, like he'd rehearsed this moment. Here we go. So he said, we wanted to talk to you about something important. Family matter. I put down my fork. Okay. Andrew and Bethany are starting a family, he continued, like I hadn't just spent dinner hearing about. Exactly that. They need a stable home for the baby. A real house, not an apartment, right? I said, that makes sense. The market's tough right now, Mom chimed in. Everything's so expensive. They've been looking for months and I can't find anything in their budget that's suitable for a baby. I looked at Andrew. He was staring at his pie, not making eye contact. Interesting. That's rough, I said. Maybe they need to expand their search radius or consider a fixer upper. Well, that's actually what we wanted to discuss, Dad said. He leaned forward, hands clasped like he was about to make a business proposal. Your house. It's perfect for them. I blinked. Okay. You live there alone, Mom said. 3 bedrooms just for you. Meanwhile, Andrew needs space for a whole family. So he should find a house. With 3 bedrooms, I said slowly, like, I did. The thing is, Dad said you bought. At the right time, you got lucky with. The market. Andrew can't afford what you paid, let alone what it's worth now. That's not luck, I said. I saved for 6 years. I worked 2 jobs some months. I bought what I could afford and fixed it up myself. Right, Dad said, waving his hand like my point was irrelevant. But the reality is you have something Andrew needs, and family helps family. The room went quiet. I looked around the table. Mom was nodding like Dad had just said something profound. Bethany was staring at her plate. Andrew was still avoiding eye contact. What exactly are you suggesting? I asked, even though I had a sinking feeling I knew. Sign the house over to Andrew, Dad said. Simple as that, like he was asking me to pass the salt. You're single, no kids. You can live anywhere, get an apartment. Something practical. Andrew needs that house for his family. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. You want me to give Andrew my house? Not give Mom. Corrected quickly. We'd help you with first and last month's rent somewhere. A nice apartment. I own a house, I said. Why would I trade that for an apartment? Because your brother needs it more? Dad said, his voice getting that edge. It gets when he thinks he's being reasonable and you're being difficult. He's got a baby coming. You're established in your career. No. Dependents. You can afford to rent. I can afford to rent because I don't. I said because I own a house that I bought with my money. It's just a house, Mom said. Family is more important than property. Then why doesn't family help Andrew buy his own house? I asked. You helped him with college, helped him with his car, let him live here rent-free multiple times. Why not help him with a down payment? We would if we could, Dad said, which was garbage because I knew they had money, but we're not in a position to do that right now. This is the solution. That makes sense. For who? I asked. Not for me. Think about the baby, Bethany said suddenly. First word she'd spoken in 10 minutes. Don't you want your niece or nephew to have a good home? Sure, I said. I also want to have a home, preferably the one I bought. Andrew finally spoke up. Come on, man. You know how hard it is out there right now. I'm trying to do the right thing here. Provide for my family. I thought you'd understand. I understand you want my house, I said. What I don't understand is why you think you're entitled to it. Entitled? Dad's voice went sharp. Is that what you think? This is your brother asking for help is entitled. Asking would be one thing, I said. This is demanding. There's a difference. We're not demanding anything, Mom said, but her voice had that tight quality that meant she was getting upset. We're asking you to consider what's best for the family, to put your brother's needs first like I've done my whole life. The words came out before I could stop them. The table went dead silent. What's that supposed to mean? Dad asked. Nothing, I said, because I wasn't about to get into 3 decades of family dynamics over pot roast. Look, I'm not signing over my house. Andrew needs to find his own place. That's what people do. People who care about their family help each other, Mom said. Help? Sure, I said. I'd help Andrew pack. I'd help him move. I'd even help him paint his new place, but I'm not giving him my house. You're being selfish, Dad said flatly. I'm being selfish, I repeated. Right, because I won't hand over the thing I worked for years to afford. That's selfish. You've always been like this, Mom said, and there was real disappointment in her voice. Ever since you were little, only thinking about yourself. That actually stung, which was ridiculous because it wasn't true. But it's amazing how your parents can still get under your skin even when you're 30 years old and should know better. I think I should go, I said, standing up. Sit down, Dad said. We're not done discussing this. Yeah, we are, I said. There's nothing to discuss. It's my house. I'm keeping it. End of story. Just think about it, Andrew said. That's all we're asking. Think about it. I looked at him. Really? Looked at him. He actually believed this was reasonable. That asking me to give up my house so he didn't have to struggle like I did was a normal request. Let me think about it, I said, and I walked out. The whole drive home, I was shaking. Not from anger. Exactly, more from the sheer audacity of what had just happened. They'd actually sat me down, fed me dinner, and asked me to sign over my house like it was no big deal, like I should be happy to do it. I got home, sat in my driveway for 20 minutes just staring at my house. My house that I bought when everyone said I couldn't afford it, that I'd fixed up myself, that I'd turned into something I was proud of, and they wanted me to give it to Andrew because he needed it more. I went inside, locked the door behind me, and stood in my living room. The Floors I'd refinished, the walls I'd painted, the shelving I'd built. Every inch of this place had my work in it, my time, my money, my effort. They could think all they wanted. The answer was no. The next day, I called a locksmith. Had all the locks changed. Front door, back door, side door, even the garage. Cost me $300, but it was worth it. I know how my family works. Give them an inch, they'll take the whole property deed. The locksmith was this older guy named Frank. Didn't ask questions, just did the work. Took him about 3 hours to swap everything out. I kept all the old locks in a box in my garage, just in case I ever needed to prove they'd been changed. While Frank was working, I drove to the hardware store and bought a proper no trespassing sign. Not one of those polite private property ones. A big official looking no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted sign. The kind that makes it clear you mean business. Picked up a metal post for it. 2. Something that couldn't be easily removed. Mounted it right at the end of my driveway where nobody could miss it. Made sure it was visible from the road. I even took a photo of it with my phone. Time-stamped just to have documentation of when I put it up. Then I called my bank and put a freeze on my accounts. Just in case. Needed my verbal authorization for any large transactions. Called my mortgage company and put a password on my account. They were surprisingly understanding. Apparently, I wasn't the first person to call with family drama concerns. Set up a passphrase that nobody could guess. Something completely random that had nothing to do with my life. Called the county recorder's office and asked about fraud alerts for property transfers. Talked to a clerk named Patricia who'd apparently dealt with this kind of situation before. She walked me through the process of putting an alert on my property deed. Basically, if anyone tried to file any documents related to my property, I get notified immediately. Cost $15. Best money I ever spent. I also went through my house and made sure I had documentation of everything. Found my closing documents, my deed, my title insurance, my mortgage, paperwork. Put it all in a fireproof safe I bought from the same hardware store as the sign. Scanned copies of everything and uploaded them to 3 different cloud storage services. If something happened to the physical documents, I'd have backups. Changed my email password, my bank password, every password I had that might be vulnerable. Made them all different. Wrote them down in a notebook I kept in that same safe. Checked my credit report to make sure nothing weird was happening there. Basically locked down everything I could think of, because I know my parents. If they think something's for Andrew's own good, they'll do whatever it takes. And I wasn't about to make it easy for them. I didn't hear from anyone for 2 days. Figured they were giving me space to think about it, like Andrew had suggested. Then on Wednesday, Dad showed up at my door. I saw his car pull up through the window, watched him walk up to the door, try his old key, look confused when it didn't work, and knock. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. New locks? He asked. Yep. Why my house? My locks? I said. He stared at me. You're serious about this? Dead serious. You really think I'd try to get in without your permission? I think you do whatever you think is necessary to help Andrew, I said. So yeah, I changed the locks. His jaw tightened. That's what you think of your own father? That's what I know about my father, I said, based on 30 years of evidence. We raised you better than this, he said. You raised me to work for what I want, I said. So that's what I did. I worked for this house. It's mine, and I'm keeping it. Andrew needs this house, Dad said. And I could hear the frustration building. He's got a baby coming. He needs stability. Then he should have thought about that before getting someone pregnant while living in a rental he can barely afford. I said, that's not my problem. He's your son. And this is my house. You could help him. You're choosing not to. I'm choosing not to give him my house. I corrected. Those aren't the same thing. Dad was quiet for a second. Then he said, what would it take for you to reconsider? Nothing. I said, there's nothing you could offer me that would make me give Andrew my house. So that's it. You're just going to let your brother struggle. Andrew is struggling because of choices he made. I said, I'm not responsible for fixing that. Family is supposed to help each other. Dad said for about the 10th time since this whole thing started. Help. Sure, I said, but there's a limit, and that limit is my house. Dad looked at the no trespassing sign at the end of my driveway, looked back at me. You really think that's necessary? He asked. Based on this conversation. Yeah. He shook his head. You've changed. You're not the son I raised. The son you raised would have rolled over and done whatever you wanted, I said. So yeah, I guess I have changed. He left without another word. I watched him drive away, then closed and locked my door. The next assault came from Mom. She called me on Friday crying actual tears, or at least the sound of them. She was worried about the baby. She said worried about Andrew and Bethany, worried about their future. So help them. I said you and Dad have money. Give them a down payment. It's not that simple. She said it's exactly that simple. I said you want to help Andrew get a house. Help him get a house. Don't volunteer my house, but your house is perfect for them. She said it's exactly what they need. Then they should find one like it. I said, you're being so cold about this. She said, I'm being realistic. I said, I'm 30 years old. I own a house. I'm not giving it up because Andrew didn't plan ahead. He's trying to plan now. He's trying to do the right thing. Good for him, I said. He can do that. Without my house. She tried for another 20 minutes. Guilt manipulation tears the whole playbook. I stayed calm, stayed firm, and eventually she gave up and hung up on me. Andrew texted me that night-long message about how he'd always looked up to me, how he knew we hadn't always gotten along, but he thought we were past that, how he just wanted what was best for his kid. Said he'd pay rent if that's what I wanted. Turn it into a rental situation until he could buy it for me. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He wasn't going to live in my house, rent or no rent. He wasn't going to buy it for me. He wasn't going to get anywhere near it. The weekend was quiet. Then Monday, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Some woman claiming to be a real estate attorney saying she was helping my family with a property transfer and needed to verify some information. I told her I wasn't transferring any property and hung up. Then I called the county recorder's office back and made absolutely sure that nobody could touch my deed without my physical signature and 2 forms of ID. The clerk was super helpful. Probably because I wasn't the first person paranoid about family trying to steal their property. Tuesday, Bethany showed up by herself this time. She looked tired, scared, actually stood on my porch and asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I let her in. Didn't offer her anything. Just let her sit on my couch while I stood by the door. I know this is weird, she started. This whole situation weirds. One word for it. I said, Andrew's parents, they make things complicated. They're good at that. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, I didn't know he was going to ask you for your house. He told me we were just going to dinner. When your dad started talking, I wanted to disappear. You could have said something. I'm 6 months pregnant with their grandkid, she said. I'm not exactly in a position to push back on family dynamics. Fair point. Look, she said, I get it. I get why you said no. If someone asked me to give up my home, I'd say no, too. But Andrew's freaking out. He thinks he's going to be a bad dad if he can't provide a house. Plenty of good dads live in apartments, I said. I know that. You know that. But his parents have him convinced he's failing already. That's between him and them. I said. I know, she said. She looked around my living room. This is a really nice place. You did all this yourself. Most of it. That's impressive. She stood up. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for the ambush at dinner, for all of this. It's not right. Thanks, I said. We'll figure something out, she said. Without your house. She left. I actually felt a little bad for her. She seemed decent. Just caught in the middle of family drama that existed long before she showed up. That was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I woke up to find Dad's car parked at the end of my driveway. He wasn't in it. I looked around, didn't see him, and then noticed he was standing in my backyard. Just standing there looking at my house. I went out the back door. What are you doing? He turned around, figured out what you paid for this place, looked up the records. Congratulations. Also looked up what it's worth now. You've done well for yourself. Thanks. Andrew could never afford this. Not at current value. I know you know that, and you still won't help him. I won't give him my house, I said. That's not the same as not helping. What help have you offered? Then Dad asked. None, I admitted, because he hasn't asked for help. He's asked for my house. Those are different things. Dad walked closer, looked at my roof, my siding, my yard. You put a lot of work into this place. I did. Shame to see all that go to waste. Something in his tone made my radar go up. What's that supposed to mean? Just saying. Houses need maintenance. Things can happen. Pipes burst, roofs leak, electrical fires. I stared at him. Are you threatening my house? I'm not threatening anything, he said. I'm just saying things happen, especially when people are stubborn. Get out, I said. This is my property. You're trespassing. Leave now. We stood there for a long minute. Then he shook his head and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away, then immediately called my insurance company and doubled my homeowner's coverage. Called a security company and got cameras installed. Front door, back door, driveway, all of it. Cost me $800 for a good system, but I didn't care. That night, I went through my house and photographed everything. Every room, every piece of furniture, every detail, uploaded it all to the cloud. If something happened to my house, I wanted documentation. I also called my buddy Kevin, who's a cop, and explained the situation. He said if anything happened, call him immediately. Also suggested I keep records of all communications with my family. So I started a file. Thursday was quiet. Friday, too. I started to think maybe they'd finally gotten the message. Then, Saturday morning, I got a call from Andrew. Not a text, a call. First time. He'd actually tried to talk to me since the dinner. I let it go to voicemail. Listened to it later. He sounded wrecked. He said he understood I was mad. Said he got it. Said he was sorry for how everything went down. Said his girlfriend was crying. His parents were on his case, and he didn't know what to do. Said maybe we could work something out. Could I just call him back, please? I deleted it. Felt a little bad about it, but not bad enough to call him back. Sunday, Mom called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, too, but I didn't listen to it. Whatever she had to say, I didn't need to hear. Monday, I got a certified letter from a law firm. My stomach dropped when I saw it. Opened it up. It was a letter requesting mediation regarding a family property dispute. Basically, they'd hired a lawyer to try to force me into family mediation about the house. The letter was full of legal language, but the gist was clear. They wanted a mediator to decide what was fair for everyone. I called my own lawyer, the guy I'd used when I bought the house, explained the situation. He laughed, which made me feel better. They can request mediation all they want, he said. You don't have to agree to it. It's your house, your property, your decision. Unless they're claiming some legal interest in it, which they're not. They can't do anything. So I just ignore this. I asked, yep, or better yet, have me send them a letter telling them to back off. Might cost you a couple hundred, but it'll make it clear you're serious. Do it, I said. He sent the letter that afternoon. Firm but polite. Essentially said I had no interest in mediation. The property was solely mine, and any further harassment would be considered grounds for a restraining order. I didn't hear anything for 3 days. Then Thursday night, my doorbell rang at 11 p.m. I checked the camera. Andrew, standing on my porch, looking rough. I didn't open the door, just spoke through the camera's intercom. What do you want? Just to talk, he said. Please. It's 11 p.m. I know. I'm sorry. Can I come in? No. He looked at the camera. I'm not here to fight. I just want to talk brother to brother. I stood there for a minute looking at him through the screen on my phone. He did look terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. You've got 5 minutes, I said, and opened the door. He came in, sat on the edge of my couch like he was afraid to get comfortable. I stayed standing. Bethy's freaking out, he said. She thinks the baby's going to come and we won't have anywhere to put her. You have an apartment, I said. It's 1 bedroom. We're converting the living room, but it's not what she pictured. Life rarely is, I said. I know I messed up, he said. I know I should have saved more, planned better, but I can't go back and fix that now. I'm trying to figure out what to do going forward. Good, I said. That's what adults do. I thought you'd help me, he said quietly. I would have helped you, I said, if you'd asked for actual help, but you didn't. You asked for my house. Mom and Dad said. I don't care what they said. I cut him off. This is between you and me. And you showed up to that dinner, knowing what they were going to ask. You sat there and let them ask me to give up my house. You didn't speak up. You didn't defend me. You didn't say it was too much. You just sat there hoping I'd say yes. He didn't deny it. I worked for this house, I said. I worked 2 jobs. I lived in terrible apartments. I drove a car that barely ran. I saved every dollar. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't ask anyone to give me anything. I did it myself because that's what you do. Not everyone's like you, he said. No, I agreed. Some people want things handed to them. That's not fair. Fair? I actually laughed. You want to talk about fair? Okay. Was it fair that Mom and Dad paid for your college while I worked full-time for mine? Was it fair that you got a new car while I drove a rusted out sedan? Was it fair that you lived at home rent tree 4 separate times while I paid my own way from 18 on? Was any of that fair? He didn't answer. I never complained about it. I continued. I never asked them to even things out. I just accepted that's how it was and worked harder. But now you want my house and suddenly fairness matters. I didn't know you felt that way, he said. Because you never asked, I said. You never had to think about it because everything always worked out for you. Mom and Dad always made sure of it. But this time, they can't give you what you want because it's not theirs to give. It's mine. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, what if I earned it? What? If I paid you for it? Fair market value. Over time. No, you didn't even think about it. Don't need to. I said, this isn't about money. This house isn't for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone. So, what am I supposed to do? He asked, and he actually sounded lost. What everyone else does? I said, find a place you can afford. Sign a lease or get a mortgage. Make it work. Be a dad in whatever space you have. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the perfect situation. Bethany, we'll be fine. Women have babies in way worse situations than a one-bedroom apartment. You guys will figure it out. But you'll figure it out without my house. He stood up. You're really not going to budge on this. Nope. Mom and Dad are right about you. He said, you are selfish. If looking out for myself is selfish, then yeah, I'm selfish. I said, better than being entitled. He left. Didn't slam the door or anything dramatic. Just left. I locked the door behind him, checked all the cameras, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 12 missed calls from Mom. 12. I didn't call back. Figured if it was an actual emergency, she'd leave a voicemail. She did. 3 of them. All variations of the same message. How could I be so cruel to my brother? Didn't I care about family? What was wrong with me? Deleted them all. That afternoon, Dad showed up again. I watched him through the camera, standing on my porch, ringing the doorbell. I didn't answer. He rang it 6 more times, then started knocking. I sat on my couch watching him on my phone screen and didn't move. He finally left after 10 minutes, sent me a text an hour later. This isn't over. I blocked his number, blocked Mom's too, and Andrew's. If they wanted to reach me, they could send a letter. But I was done with the phone calls and the guilt trips and the manipulation. The next few weeks were quiet. Nobody showed up. Nobody sent letters. I figured they'd finally accepted reality and moved on. Then I got a notification from the county recorder's office. Someone had requested copies of my property deed. The alert system I'd set up was working. I called Patricia back, asked who'd made the request. My father. I called my lawyer. Immediately, he sent another letter this one way less polite, threatened harassment charges if they didn't back off. Also mentioned that any attempt to fraudulently transfer property would result in criminal charges. That seemed to do it. The request stopped. 2 days before Andrew's move, I came home from work to find my mother sitting in her car at the end of my driveway, not trying to get in, just sitting there, watching my house. I pulled in, parked in my garage, and went inside without acknowledging her. She sat there for 2 hours. I watched her on my driveway, the camera just sitting in her car, staring at my house like that was going to change something. Eventually, she left. The day Andrew moved into his new place, I got a group text, not from Andrew, from Mom. Photos of their new condo, the baby's room, half set up boxes everywhere. The message said Andrew's new home. So proud of him for doing this on his own. The capitalization was pointed. I didn't respond, just muted the group chat. When the baby was born 3 months later, I got another group text with a photo. I looked at it for about 5 seconds. Baby looked like every other newborn, red and wrinkly. Then texted back, congratulations, and left the chat entirely. Mom sent me a message a week after the birth. Said I should come meet my niece. Said family was important, especially now. Said maybe it was time to move past all this. Said they were having a little get together that Sunday for close family, 2 p.m. I should come. I didn't respond. Sunday at 2 p.m. I was at Home Depot buying supplies for my bathroom renovation. Saw the missed calls later. Didn't listen to